Good morning, everyone. 3 minutes late, and it looks like somebody liked the CPI report. Let's see what happens. Boom, to the moon, Alice. Okay, so we tested 6,800, and now we're coming back. And then we have 6,900, 7,000 at the end of the year. Don't worry about it. Okay, so here we are. And as is typically the case, when the unknown becomes known, we get the initial hedging reaction, whatever it is. And then we're going to see from here. But I mean, it seems like 6,800 is in the cards. Let me quickly switch gears. And I talked about this in my daily plan. See what's happening here? Okay, so let me switch gears so folks can see a little better what's going on. I'm switching gears to here. I'm just going to do calls. This is customers' position. Customers, you, me, institutions, calls. Customers are long calls. People, folks, are long calls all the way up to 67.85. 67.85, where are we? 67.85, what a coincidence. Customers are long calls all the way up to here. Customer long, market maker short. Short gamma, quote unquote. And those of you that have been listening to me for a while know that a pet peeve is when people say market makers are long or short gamma, and that it means whatever. Market makers are short gamma locally here at this level, so it's a magnet up. If we stay below it and they decay, then it pushes us down. So right now we're in this zone, and that's going to be interesting because what's hidden from your view, so that because this is going to distort things bigly, is this. Customers are short 16,000 plus calls at 68.25. So we could say with a fair amount of certainty that we're not getting there. We're not getting to 68.25. Now I'm going to switch back to market makers. Going to switch back to net gamma. Okay, so that's where we're not going. Now, yesterday, we had a similar setup of similar size at 67.50. What happened? We got mean reverted, pulled right up to it, never crossed it. And then at the end of the day, since we didn't cross it, those deltas decayed from a 0.5 to a 0.4 to whatever. And then market makers were able to let go of whatever hedging they had to do to hedge that out. I'm going to get rid of this bar now because it just distorts the eye, distorts my eye. And you can't see the relative influence of the other stuff. Okay, so here we are, right here, 68.75.90. And so here's our top zone, market maker long over here, quote unquote support, market maker short in between, ladder magnet taking us up this way, down this way, kind of should equilibrium, happen somewhere in here, 80, 75. We have a void between 80 and 65. Somewhere in here, 75, round number, sounds like as good a place as any. Got a little bit this feature here at 55, which we could say is our inflection point. If we go below 50, We can come back to 35, red on the, flat on the day-ish. And then we have this more support down here. Now, this picture changes somewhat now that volatility has come out. I don't have the VIX up here. We'll look at that in a minute. And that's the broad landscape. Let's take a look over here. Okay, so you see, now this is options depth, by the way. I should put in let me put in a promo link. I usually don't do that. Hold on. I'm going to put in a promo link for a second. Or a discount link, excuse me. Discount link. Hold on. Where is it? Okay. Copy text. I'm going to put this in here. There's a discount link. And while we're at it, I'm going to throw this in. While I'm at it, I'm going to do this. One more thing. I'm sorry. I know. I'm kind of taking care of some quick admin stuff. One more thing, and I'll be back with you. We'll see. But basically, I guess we're scheduled for new all-time highs today. That's certainly what it looks like right now. And we'll kind of going to analyze it a little more granularly right now. All right, I got that out of the way. Let's get back to business. Did I lose my audience? Let's see. Okay. So here we are. So what's going to happen? Okay, so the hedging, market makers had to hedge out that move. This doesn't look like, I guess it does. Oh, except I have, ignore the white dotted lines. Those are from yesterday. I didn't get rid of them yet. So we hit 6,800 again, no shock. And now we're falling back again, no shock. And we'll see, do we get a new all-time high? We've already hit a new intraday all-time high. And now do we get a new closing all-time high? I forget what the closing all-time high was, 55-ish, 50. I think it was over 50. But I mean, it looks like that's in the cards here. To change screens from Discord to YouTube. Not sure how to do that. Okay, let me. Okay. Yeah, apparently I was sharing the wrong screen in the wrong place. Okay, so went to 6,800, round number battle zone. Here was the top of the expected move, which I'm sure has changed by now. We're going to check that in a minute. Expected move was about 38-ish when I looked at it at about 6 a.m. or so. But now that the volatility has come out, we'll have a different expected move. Hey, Selena, haven't been able to join the broadcast in a while. You've been busy working. And here we are, top of the chop zone, and barring something unforeseen, I don't imagine we're going to have a red day. So the question is how to trade it now. And these news days are tricky in that when the algos come in, then we kind of get to see how things are going to pan out. But getting back to work crazy busy, but I'm here. Okay, I guess crazy busy is better than nothing at all. Okay, so let's get back here. And I want to check something out here. So what we're going to do, first I want to look at market maker position numbers. And so let's see. We have this whole path up here to 90, 6,800 stall. So this is kind of the whole battle zone right here, 67.60 up to 85.90. This is kind of the battle zone. And if we, fall below here, we have this weak inflection at 50.55. And really, if you lose that, the way things stand now, you can get down to here now to 35 flat on the day. I want to switch gears again. One of the cool features that they have here is flow. So I want to see what kind of flow came in since the number, right? Since 8:30, 10 minutes. Okay, so in the last 10 minutes, what happened? In the last 10 minutes, calls were bought. Look at this. 423 calls were bought up here at 6,800. Now, we don't know if the people buying back their shorts or not, but if people were short, but we know that adds to the pull, adds to the pull at 90, adds to the pull at 80. Oh, these are sold, excuse me. I'm on the market maker side. Let's get to the customer side just so that we kind of have an easier frame of reference. That makes more sense. Yeah, people monetize their 6,800 calls. And so profit taking, we'll call it over here. People were long 6,750 calls yesterday. We closed below. So here we have a little bit of profit taking here between 6,750 and 6,800 and higher. We got some put buying, not a lot, 143, some put buying, 67.70. So we have put buyers near the money and call sellers near the money. Makes sense. And that's just going to shift the imbalance, which was upward, toward slightly more balanced, but still upward. Maybe they bought back short puts there. So regardless of who did what and why, I'm going to switch back to market makers. And we're going to net it out because once it's in their hands, it's all treated the same. So 6,800 stall was added to. This 67.30, I don't know where the 67.30 went. Oh, that's right. We're just looking at what was added. Nothing was added there. 67.70. Those were the puts that were added. And so now let's look at the whole picture. Let's get off of flow onto net. So here's the whole picture. Below 67.90, get pulled toward this area. Now these are kind of magnetic and they pull, so it depends. Does this decay up? Do these deltas increase and market makers have to buy? And so you have a different kind of choppy dynamic here between 60 and 90. And below 55.50, we could say is our cutoff point where things can, where like the tone can shift. And that's kind of it. Now, let's take a look at what I got going on here. I mean, it doesn't really matter to you what I have going on here. What matters here is, let's take a quick look. Okay, so I don't know that I trust this expected move. Let's look at the E-mini expected move. 27.30, that makes more sense, 25 to 30 points from here. And where is here? So 25 to 30 points from 80 puts us 6,800-ish, a little over, and puts us 50-ish. So that's kind of your new expected move based on the options market. What would I do now? Well, usually CPI is a no trade day for me. And it might be, we'll see. But as an iron conduit seller, I kind of, shelter from the storm here. 68.25. I use ES straddle only because now what I get from the pricing I get on their option chain sucks. I don't trust it. In real-time hours, I use SPX. I don't trust this number. This number hasn't changed since the CPI. So I just don't trust Tasty Trade's number. So I'm willing to go with the 68.25, throw my lot in with the, throw my lot in with the 17,000 short call people. I mean, puts, I'm sure we could say that we're not going down here. 6,700. I'll throw one in here, although obviously now is not the optimal time to be selling puts when we're possibly heading back down. I'm just putting these in as placeholders. Call them wish trades. If I could get 40 cents, 5 cents for that, I'd take it. And it's kind of hard for me to see where the volatility would set out. What kind of flies would I want to do? Let's see. Something like that, maybe. Or maybe a tad higher if we think we're going to stall around 6,800. I would want a little more clarity before I try to pick one. I would just be kind of like just making something up. I would probably be more inclined to YOLO something like this for 60 cents on the way down. And then see. And like I said, today is the day where I don't. Now let's take a look at volatility. We like to look at volatility. So here's my VIX dash, one of my volatility dashboards. Hold on, we gotta change that to VIX. Okay. And so you can see, I can't even see what the number is. 17, it looks like. I don't know if that's below 17, 16.69. Okay, so volatility is just as a reminder. Last Friday we were at 28, today we're at 16. So Chicken Little, the sky is falling. One of ASIC's fables, I believe. No, I don't think ASIC. Wolf in Sheep's Clothing was ASIC's fable. Chicken Little, the sky is falling. Well, now VIX is back to a normal 16. VVIX is back below 100. One-day vol, which I think is a retarded measure. Let's take a look at the move index for fun. Here's where I kind of put something else sometime. Bond volatility, considering we have I'm not a macro bro, but considering we have CPI, FOMC, Trump, G, whatever, gold doing what it's doing, the bond move index is meh, which I don't really have a view on where bonds should go, quote unquote, other than rates are going down, so bonds in theory should be bought. But what this is telling us is that directional plays, buying TLT or whatever, if you trade futures, whatever you want to buy, is cheap. That's what it's telling me. Bond follows cheap. Round number battle, expect to move top of top. Here we are. So now, obviously, based on my daily plan, levels are going to shift up somewhat. They're not going to really change because the chop zone is basically 80 till 30, and I think that kind of still holds. And if we get over 80, we kind of know where our battle zone is 6,800. We know that right up here, 68.25, there's massive customer short, market maker long gamma. So we kind of know, as much as you can know anything, that dark blue is market maker long gamma, meaning stalling, mean reverting, market maker sell as we approach. So even early in the day, 95 begets selling. This area here, between, let's call it 80 and even down here to 50, 40, market makers are basically short. So that's market makers have to go in the direction of the move. Path of least resistance takes us to 80, or the downside path of least resistance would take us to 40, basically flat on the day. And let's remember something else. So let's just to simplify it, say that what's over here are long calls, 67.50, 60, whatever they are. And whatever delta they are now, let's just say that there is 60 delta, whatever, 60, 50 delta, 65 delta. As we stay over them, that delta decays up, quote unquote. That delta charms up to a 1 delta at the end of the day. As it stays in the money and time passes, the probability of it ending up in the money increases, those deltas increase, creating buying. The flip side of that is, let's just take the 67.90, for example. At this stage of the game, it's a magnet up. As we go up, market makers have to buy to hedge that. But then once the momentum stops and we stall, and those deltas decrease, or even the local volatility, the demand for those options decreases somewhat, and the volatility goes down, then market makers get to sell a little. And so then you have this opposite dynamic that we usually have between two positive gammas, between the top being a magnet or decaying, and the bottom slowly decaying up to a 1 delta, pushing us up. That's what we had yesterday. Yesterday, we had a lot of puts below us that decayed upward, was creating upward pressure. We had the same positive gamma above us at 67.50 that pulled us up until we started stalling, and then it decayed down. And we might have had some calls that went in the money, I'm not sure. But that's the basic setup. Hold on, somebody's bleeding into my Discord here onto the YouTube stream. So let me find who it is and mute him. Okay. It's my boy. Okay. One of my BFFs. He was bleeding in here. Okay. And that's it. I mean, I could beat a dead horse, but there's not a lot else to say. Let me see. On dark pool apps, okay. So the options trap. They show large off-market activity. Like, what's on you on buying, selling? Can they be useful tools? Okay. I personally am not a dark pool fan. I know some people use it. They think it's useful. I don't look at it. I've looked at it in the past. I never gave it a really fair look, so to speak. But from what I know, and I'm no dark pool expert, I'm going to start off with this. I'm no dark pool expert. However, from what I know, when we see those dark pool prints wherever we see them, that's data from a week or two ago. That's old. We don't know what happened on the dark pool today, right now, this second. I think. I might be wrong. Number two, it's hard to say who's buying and why. So I don't know. I don't use it. I'm not saying that it's not useful. I know people do use it and they seem to find use in it. I'm going to say that I don't. Yes, repeat offender, right. We know who was bleeding through a repeat offender. Do the dealers market maker use dog pool to offset leverage? No, absolutely not. No, they don't use dog pool. It's, much as people don't want to believe it, dealers are pretty straightforward mechanical. They're not trying to steer it anywhere. They're not trying to trick you, get you to short or long or whatever it is. I'm not saying you think this. There's no grand conspiracy to pin on a number. It's mechanical. It's math. They're hedging their deltas, different, we'll call them shops, different market makers might have slightly different risk parameters. The risk parameters are going to be different based on their book, long-term, short-term, what else they have in there. If they do fancy dispersion stuff with like, well, we have this much Apple and this much SPX. I don't know if they do that. So it's not everybody's going to be 100% the same. There's volatility modeling and all that kind of stuff. So it's not exactly the same, but broadly, it's pretty mechanical. We know that if you get up over here, they're going to sell, not on the dark pool. You'll see it wherever you see it, and yeah. Let me say, I've never given it a fair try, but I don't think so. I don't think that Unusual Whales or whoever's dog pool is going to give me an edge. Now, if you have access to it, I have to have access to it. I just don't look at it. If anyone wants to play with it and see if there's actually a there, that's fine. I kind of think it's a marketing gimmick. I don't know. Maybe I'm being a little cynical. And dog pool people, if you're listening, DM me or show me why I'm wrong, why I'm right, whatever. For me, between looking at gamma, between looking at this and looking at this, and looking at this, and let me show you something. And looking at hold on, my mouse is sticking. And looking at this, and looking at this, and I've got 5 more screens to show you. Between looking at all this, between looking at all this, I'm now looking for an extra data point. I have enough data points to look at right now that I don't need to find one more. And there's actually an interesting thing from, it might have actually been Taleb in Black Swan. I'm not sure who said it, but it makes intuitive sense. After a certain point, and this is actually important for us as traders, after a certain point, more information does not increase predictive accuracy. What it increases is my certainty that I'm right. And that could be dangerous, especially trading. Because I can always find a reason to rationalize staying into a trade or missing a trade. And so there's kind of this optimal point, and obviously everybody's a little different. So yeah, check your screen, Doc, if it is what you want to show. I think unusual whales. IC Well's not there today. And I'm doing two screen shares because I don't have the same screen share in the Discord as I have here on the live YouTube. I have to figure out how to do that. Eventually I will. So right now I'm just sharing this. Okay, well, we don't want to look at that. We kind of know where we are. The Moon Alice. Where was I? Here we are. Okay, that's what I want. And Sigma would it shock you if we hit 6,800 today? Wouldn't shock me. I hope we do. I have some cheapy call debit spreads I bought up there. It's showing like to steal an extra $500 or $1,000 because of that. And I opportunistically loaded up on calls in XPX, XSP, and SPY, and QQQ, and IWM when we were down the toilet last week. So since toilet paper hands is my motto, I'll be probably taking a lot of that off. So, are the IC Whale out of play today? No, they're not. They're not. IC Whale, in theory, should have been because I think it was an outside day, but they judged it not to be an outside day. However, they did that, and so they're not in play. They will probably be back Monday, but they might wait another day. Okay, it's 9:10 already, so I'm going to go. Thank you all for listening. And if anybody has any more dark pool info, please DM me or contact me. However, I'd like to hear more or talk about it on Twitter. I know that I don't really know, but I'm kind of cynical. That's all I can say.